Hey, good morning. So, have you ever run into somebody, ever met somebody at a braai or at a gathering or an event or something of that sort, and then they just picked your interest? You guys just clicked immediately. You just, yeah, you start talking and it's lekker and it's sweet. And by the time you leave, you thought, yes, you would really like to chat to that person again or hang out with that person more often or, that sort of thing. Ever happened to you? It's happened to me so many times in my life, I'll tell you. And then, yeah, something in that person just piqued your interest. And then the next thing you know, because somehow you run into them again and then again at different places. And eventually you'll exchange numbers, you'll start chatting on like a WhatsApp or whatever, start going, maybe grab a cup of coffee every now and then or hang out more, whatever. Next thing you know, you guys are talking every day. You make plans to hang out all the time. You understand the picture that I'm creating here. So, why am I telling you how a relationship is built? Silly, so right in the middle or in the beginning of everything, right? But it's actually quite simple because I've been asked many a times how do I build a relationship with God? How do I build a relationship with Jesus? And it's very similar in my opinion. How do I get closer to God? The first time you ever pray, if you can think back, the first time you pray, it feels weird, man. It's just you're sitting here talking, and you're talking to nothing, nobody, nobody's there, and you don't even know what to say. You like just start talking, and people just like just talk, just say something, and you're like, but I don't know what to say. It's weird. Well, the first time you praise and worship, if you're in a church or at some formal gathering or informal gathering, and there's praise and worship, and I see a lot of the new people are easy to spot because they just stand there because they don't know what to do, or it feels or they feel weird and strange or embarrassed. Don't want to lift up your hands. I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to clap hands, and it's okay because it's out of a comfort zone in the beginning. It is, especially if you're not an outgoing type of person. Um, it feels weird to lift up your hands. The first time you do it in private, it feels weirder. That's what I experienced in my life, and now I just can't wait to get into private to do my stuff in private with Jesus because there's no distractions. And then when I do get into a corporate area of a corporate platform where there's other people that praise and worship with me, then it's massive. Then it's like it explodes. It's something completely different. It's really truly amazing. And you have a tendency in the beginning also, people say things like the guy in the sky, the man upstairs. That's a favorite one. And it's like they're afraid to say God and Father in heaven or Jesus or Holy Spirit. It's like they're afraid. And I remember when there's not really a relationship. You say you have a relationship with God, but either you don't. It's baie oppervlakkig, man. It's not a intimate relationship. Then you tend to use impersonal things like that, pronouns like that, or references to even when you think about people. I mean, if you meet this person out of randomness and people start talking about you, you just go, oh, okay, okay. Now, once you get to know them and you start developing some form of relationship with them and they become important to you, and I'm not talking just dating relationship, I'm talking anything, friendship, whatever. And if it becomes an important person and you get into some similar conversations where people might be knocking this person, then all of a sudden you start getting defensive because this person is important to you and you know better than these oaks that are just talking nonsense over here. You understand what I'm saying? So you create these things, build as you go. So there's growth required, a relationship that needs to be built. The simple example I used above is just, it's not in a lot of detail, but it's just a simple explanation of what you can possibly do. And in essence, though, it should be much easier to actually build a relationship with God because God is so much more easily, easierly. Can I use that word? Create the word this morning. It's so much easier to get a hold of God. So much easier to get access to Him. It's a lot easier to get to than that person whose number you don't have. You know what I'm saying? And God's got the best phone number. He's got a very easy phone number, and I'll spell it out for you. Pray. That's God's phone number. It's called Pray. That's how you phone God. And if you want to check him out on socials, he's got WhatsApp, he's got Facebook, he's got Instagram, he's got Threads, he's got YouTube, he's got all these accounts. I call it the Bible. And it's a real account. It's not even a fake account. It's an actual real account. It's fantastic. You should definitely try out the Bible. It's great. I love every second and every moment of it. And but once again, there's actions involved in all these things, you know. And yeah, and if you don't know what the other one is that I just mentioned, you know, braais with God, fellowship with Him, coffees with God. I tend to call that praise and worship. So that's how you hang out. That's how you fellowship with the Lord. Is in all those ways is actually fellowship with Him, reading His Word, spending time in prayer, praise and worship. That's how you build with God, you know. And if you're not sure what praise and worship is yet, the most basic form of it is putting on music and singing along with it. Gospel music, not worldly music. Gospel music, music for God. You put that on, you sing along with it. If you feel like you all of a sudden want to pray, you pray. If you want to lift your hands, you lift your hands. But the sole focus of praise and worship is to offer up time to spend it in worshiping God. That's a simple explanation. There's so much more detail in it. But yeah, and a couple of scriptures that I found that I don't know, they feel like they fit. But it's not with the building things though, but it does help you with regards to how your life can shift and change as well. You know, 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14 says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land. Hebrews 4 verse 16 says, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help him in time of need. And then Matthew 11:28 says, come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. It's the place where your life changes. It's the place where you get rid of the things in your life that shouldn't be there. It's the place where healing comes, restoration comes. He's the God of the turnaround. Pray, worship, read the Bible, actions, put actions to it. And I hope it gives you some ideas of what you can do to either build your relationship with God for the first time or strengthen your relationship with God. Just spend more time in that, you know, and sitting here thinking that God needs to be number one. He needs to be the most important thing in your life. Either He has it all or He's got nothing at all. And the important thing is you spend most of your time on what is important to you. If you love gaming, you game a lot. If you love movies and series, you watch that a lot. If you love somebody, your spouse, you spend time with them a lot. You actually make time to have time. If you never make time, you'll never have time. I say that a lot to people. And in the beginning of a new relationship, you're not very high on the priority list of that other person, and neither are they to you, even though you are interested in getting to know them and spending time with them. So often you try and make plans and they fail, and there's uitstel and afstel in die goed gebeur, and you don't get there, and eventually you get together, and then eventually you get together again and again and again, and the time becomes shorter in between the times, because you're slowly but surely climbing on the priority list. Sometimes, not every time, depends. If you are actually people who match, then that sort of things start happening like that. And it's the very same with God. In the beginning, it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel weird. You might not try and make time for Him. You might spend a minute in prayer, but tomorrow it could be 5 minutes. The day after it could be 15 minutes. The day after, all of a sudden, you spend an hour a day with God between worship and pray and praise and whatever. Then it could be more. Then you start walking with God throughout your day. You pray the whole day you're walking. That's how you climb the priority ladder. That's how these things work. You know, you make time to have time. And when you start doing this, and when you start making quality time with the Lord, He really comes through for you in ways that I can't even begin to explain. I don't have the words. I've tried, but it's magnificent. It's incredible. And it's there where your life truly starts changing and shaping. So I want to tell you, if you never, as I said just before, if you never make time, you'll never have time. But give it a shot. You'll be surprised.